Welcome back to Outside Views EU, and today we're diving into a topic that's caused a stir once again in British politics: Boris Johnson's latest revelation on Brexit. Now, it's no secret that Brexit was one of the most divisive issues in modern British and European history. But here's the thing: Boris Johnson, the man who spearheaded the Vote Leave campaign, recently admitted that his motivation for backing Brexit was to win an argument. Yeah, you heard that right. In a recent interview, Johnson claimed that his support for Brexit was driven by a desire to win an argument rather than any specific, well-thought-out plan for the future of Britain outside the EU. And this revelation came as he's been trying to sell copies of his memoir titled Unleashed. Now, I'm not sure about you, but when the leading figure behind a political movement as significant as Brexit says he did it to win an argument, it raises a few eyebrows. So let's break this down. For years, we've been told that Brexit was all about reclaiming sovereignty, controlling borders, and creating a brighter future for the UK. You remember the unicorns, perhaps. And yet, according to Boris Johnson, the driving force behind this decision was something as trivial as wanting to win a debate. Of course, this isn't the first time Johnson has been accused of using Brexit for personal or political gain. But this admission takes it to a whole new level. Now, the timing of this revelation is interesting. It comes at a moment when Johnson is back in the public eye, following the collapse of an interview he was supposed to have with the BBC's Laura Kuenssberg. Apparently, the interview fell apart after Kuenssberg accidentally sent Johnson her briefing notes ahead of time. But ITV swooped in, and Tom Bradby didn't hold back during their interview. Bradby grilled Johnson on a range of issues, including Partygate, the scandal that rocked Johnson's leadership during the pandemic. You find in a video on Outside View Scandals about this as well. In true fashion, he responded by saying that the only thing he regretted was apologizing in the first place. But when the topic shifted to Brexit, Johnson once again dodged accountability. Instead of owning up to the lack of a clear plan for the UK after leaving the EU, Johnson pointed the finger at former Prime Minister David Cameron. According to Johnson, it was Cameron's fault for not preparing a plan in case the referendum resulted in a vote to leave. He said, and I quote, "What I and everybody expected was that David Cameron and his government would bring forward a white paper on the details." So, Johnson blames Cameron for not sticking around to handle the aftermath. But let's not forget that Boris Johnson was the public face of the Vote Leave campaign. He led the charge, and now we find out that his motivation was, at least in part, to win an argument. It really makes you wonder, what kind of leadership is that? Did he have a vision for the UK's future, or was it all just a game to him? And what does this mean for the millions of people who voted for Brexit, believing that it was the best thing for the country? If the man who led the campaign admits that he was in it to win an argument, it casts a shadow over the entire process. Of course, Brexit happened, not completely yet, but it happened. The UK has left the European Union and there's no going back. But the consequences of that decision are still being felt today. Businesses continue to struggle with red tape that came with leaving the EU. Trade deals have been harder to negotiate than many Brexiteers predicted. And the political landscape in the UK remains deeply divided. All of this while Boris Johnson seems to treat it like a debate that he wanted to win for the sake of winning. Well, now, it isn't the first time Johnson's approach to politics has been called into question. Throughout his career, he's been known for his charismatic, often blusterous style. But when it comes to Brexit, this admission is quite a tough pill to swallow for many. The country was promised a better future, and now we're being told that the man behind the campaign was more concerned with winning a personal argument. It's no wonder that Unleashed, his memoir, hasn't exactly been met with rave reviews. Critics have been less than impressed, and this kind of revelation is likely a big reason why. It raises fundamental questions about the integrity of the Brexit campaign and the motivations of its leaders. We thought a lot about this because of the lies already. And Johnson's attempt to shift the blame onto David Cameron only adds to the confusion. Cameron may have called the referendum, but it was Johnson who championed the Leave cause. And now he seems to be distancing himself from the very movement he helped to create. So where does this leave us? Well, for one, it highlights the need for accountability in politics. When leaders make decisions that shape the future of a country, they need to be transparent about their motivations. And when those decisions don't pan out as expected, they need to take responsibility for the consequences. But what we are seeing here is the opposite. Johnson's admission that he backed Brexit to win an argument suggests that he was never really focused on the long-term impact of leaving the EU. Instead, it seems like he was more interested in winning the political battle, regardless of the consequences. And now, 8 years after the referendum, the UK is still grappling with the fallout. The economy has taken a hit, relations with the EU are strained, and the divisions within the UK remain as deep as ever. All of this because one man wanted to win an argument. It's quite a sobering thought. So, as Boris Johnson continues to promote his memoir and make the media rounds, it's worth keeping in mind the real impact of Brexit. For many, it wasn't just a debate to be won. It was a decision that changed the course of the country. And those consequences are still unfolding today. That's all for today's episode of Outside Views EU. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Boris Johnson's admission changes anything about how we view Brexit? Or is this just another example of political gamesmanship? So thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one. The next video is right here in the end screen.